electric grid for the LA basin, quickly enhancing the Huntington Beach area. Like most of the coast, the shoreline in this area was constantly eroding, the harbor having to be relocated every decade. Yet humanity refused to relinquish those beachside communities until the sea literally stole them away, which naturally brought humans and marine life into constant contact. Akemi lived inland for a reason. "Does the WSO have a handle on the spread?" he asked Leo. His chief of staff, who was a biologist as well as a talented lawyer, sent him a link that popped up the WSO's infectious disease map. It was a weather map for viruses, based on extensive serologic testing, coordinated worldwide. One of the many ways the WSO and its parent organization, the International Energy Consortium, managed the endless rolling pandemics the climate brought them every year, sometimes every month. The map shows it in a pretty limited area, Leo shrugged. You know how that goes. You mean how we live in a very densely populated area with international travel? And that a new contagion can easily exist in places we are not measuring? Yes, I am painfully aware. Akemi felt the irritation in his voice like sandpaper across his forehead. He physically wiped the sensation away and had an immediate urge to apologize. While it was not, in fact, his job to understand the details of every viral outbreak or ancient pathogen arising from the planet, it was his job to ensure the basic utilities upon which civilization depended. Leo and Martina were exceptionally talented advisors, part of a substantial workforce at the PUC, all essential to that task. Akemi merely sat at the pinnacle of that organizational chart, appointed by the governor to keep that promise to the public, or to be held accountable for failing. There was no room for his personal agitation in such a position. He knew that when he took it, and it pained him that such a small irritation was throwing him off. He knew the reason. The source of his stress was not here, on the SCPUC floor of the IEC building in Los Angeles. It was at his home in the valley, and he needed to take greater pains to keep it there. I'm sorry, Leo. I shouldn't have snapped at you. Akemi adjusted in his seat once more, pulling up the report again and reading over it more slowly. I think it's the chair, Akemi. Akemi flicked a look at Leo, and a crinkle around his eyes said he was joking. I like the chair. You don't seem to like the chair, Martina offered. Et tu, Martina? Just an observation, Commissioner. Miss Enriquez was younger, and she kept a more formal tone most of the time, which Akemi allowed but would never insist upon. Her expertise lay in the electrical grid, having worked on the power islands, then moved inland through various regulatory positions. She would probably one day have his job, which he would fully support. Perhaps that day should come sooner than planned. You are both, no doubt, correct, Akemi said as he finished reading through the brief report. There were already deaths associated with this new outbreak. The WSO would do their usual diligence in containing it as best they could, and the PUC would support them. But the viruses were an implacable enemy. They always won if you counted every life a loss, which Akemi did. He closed the report again. And yet, I will continue to torture myself in attempting to balance on a chair specifically designed to not balance. He gave a short laugh, and it felt awkward. It had been some time since laughter felt genuine. Back to our Level 1 airborne alert. Our main concern is, of course, ventilation. Everyone in the alert area will be turning on their fans and cranking up the mix of outside air, putting demand on the grid. MUU levels will get bumped with the alert, and again if we have a heat event. But we all know there will be overages. The maximum utility usage levels set the household, corporation, or public sector buildings' maximum usage covered by the utility tax, and those levels got bumped up automatically under certain conditions well known and publicized by the PUC. People were extremely well versed in their MUU status, but they still frequently had overages during unusual events, despite the price of additional kilowatts being rather steep. It was a guardrail, not an absolute. I know we've got overages factored into the demand models. Is there any additional multiplier in the case of 2 simultaneous events? He directed that question at Martina, given her expertise. She frowned. I'll double check, but I don't think so. To Leo, he asked, has USEC been informed of the alert? The U.S. Energy Consortium was the country's liaison to the IEC, and Leo was on the committee that coordinated